You just don't get it. Why am I anxious?
Yes.
Where does it come from?
All of a sudden.
Why am I lying down in my bed and still anxious?
It's
not normal.
I should be happy that I'm on bed. No,
I dreamed of this all my life, to be just sitting down at home. What the hell is happening?
Yeah. That wasn't normal anymore. Hello and welcome to this episode with Francesca, Halem and Lou. In this first episode, we will be discussing mental health and our ways to cope with it.
If you're interested in the topic of mental health and how we try to preserve our own as individuals, but also as friends supporting each other in these difficult times, then put yourself a nice cup of tea and sit with us.
There is always a space for you on our couch. So let's get started. How are you doing?
I am very good, thank you. How are you, Alem?
I am very good as well. Thank you for asking. How are you, Lou?
I'm good as well, thanks. But now I would like to ask you, how are you doing really?
Well, there is not always an easy question to answer to. I guess I'm doing better now, but yeah, it's been tough.
Well, it has been tough, as Francesca said. I mean, I am good, but you know, it has been pretty flat. I feel like I'm living in a vicious circle. Every day seems the same every day. So yeah, but overall, I think it's great to be here. What about you, Lou? How you doing really?
Yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. I would say I feel better now as well. There has been low points and high points, but I would say overall I've learned a lot about myself. That's the main thing I would take from this whole experience. Now I've asked you how you are doing really because we feel like sometimes people struggle to give a really honest answer because of various reasons.
Yes.
So actually, why do we want to talk about mental health today, and what is mental health?
So we want to talk about mental health today because in my experience, I've always been a very happy person, loving life in general and loving my life specifically. But you know, during the past year with the lockdown and with the pandemic, I don't know, I just felt different, you know. I didn't have much motivation. I wasn't that happy anymore, and sometimes you just can't tell. Sometimes you just think, why am I not feeling myself today? And it's hard to answer that question, and then you start thinking, and you know, after a few months, I just realized that because of the pandemic, you know, my mental health was suffering from it, and yeah, it took me probably like more than it should have took me to realize that. But it's important that for me, it's important that everyone knows that it's normal to feel really low sometimes, specifically after what we've been through. So that's something that was really important for me to tell you, and so just so you know that you're not, if you're feeling like this, you're not the only ones. And what is mental health? Well, yeah, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I can't give you a scientific answer to that. But what mental health is to me, I don't know. It's that moment where you don't feel anxious or low or lonely or depressed. It's that moment of the day when you're able to be happy by yourself.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
But then you realize that you're not, and therefore you realize that there is something that should be done about it. But you don't have the answer at that point in time. So it takes a while.
It does. No, yeah, I completely agree with what Francesca said. I mean, giving a definition of mental health is really hard also because we are not professionals, but we have our own experience, and of course we share what we think mental health is according to our experiences. So for me, mental health is being okay with yourself, being good with yourself, being okay with being alone with your own thoughts that are not hurting your mind, thoughts that are not hurting your heart as well. It's hard, sometimes to be honest with yourself as well. Be honest about what you really think, because you kind of trick your mind into thinking, I'm good, I'm fine, when you actually are not. And you don't do only this with yourself, but you do with people around you, just not to be a burden on others, which is crazy, because I mean, we all going through stuff. Why just, why not being honest with it? But yeah, the motto for this past year for me has been really, it's okay not to be okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, mental health, it's this, being okay with yourself. Being okay that you're not good. Being okay with the fact that you don't feel like talking today, but maybe you feel good tomorrow. Being okay with the fact that, you're not social enough this week, but maybe next week I will be, with friends. I will love life again, but not today.
And not apologizing for it.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Not being sorry for it. Like, that's what I'm feeling, and that's it.
Yeah, we need to recognize our needs, and we need to respect that, and we need to make sure that the people around us respect that too.
Yeah, you're raising a few very good points that we're going to expand on more, I'm sure, like the stigma around it, and being afraid to open up about how you are feeling, and also the COVID and what it did to us.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important to stress that mental health is not always being happy, right? Mental health, I feel like, to me at least, it's just a part of general health, and I try not to put my body in a box and my mind in another box.
It's all connected.
It is, for sure. And paradoxically, during the lockdown, I started working on my, what you would call physical health a bit more, working out, stuff like that. And the time we had to take care of our bodies, it also forced us to realize that maybe in the head it's not going so well and we're not happy.
Definitely, yes.
Yes. So yeah, to me, mental health is just part of a more general health. And what I learned so far is that before lockdown, we were maybe too busy with our lives.
Exactly. That's the whole point of it.
Too busy running around and maybe running away.
Mainly running away.
Mainly running away, yes. And all of a sudden we got stuck, and we had to come to terms with a few things.
Just a few.
So yes.
Yeah, what is crazy is this past week I've been back to work, and every day I was working, my mind was only thinking about work. I was forcing myself to only think about work, and every time I was having a break, I was like, oh my God, I need to go back to work. It's
because we have been so used to it. You like, oh my God, I'm going this way, I'm going there. You just keep yourself busy, and until you just until you're so tired that you just go to sleep and you put your mind to sleep. Which is not always bad, to put your mind to sleep. I mean, if you can do it, well done, honestly. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you just gotta dig into your brain and find, when you hear these little voices in your head telling you so many things at the same time, and you're like shutting them down.
Yes.
What I learned this year is to let them come out, and even talking it through with you guys, who I believe you're my friends. It helps a lot. Just don't keep them there, but let them out. And until you let them, the moment you let them out, you feel kind of liberated, even if it doesn't solve anything, because the problem may be still there. It feels liberating for you.
It takes the weight off of your shoulders.
Exactly. It takes away a lot of pressure from you, and so yeah, that's what I learned. Just let them out.
I think sharing is powerful. Sharing the way we feel with our friends, but not just with our friends. Even it can even be a stranger. But I think that the power of sharing is being able to allow yourself to be vulnerable and allowing other
Yes.
people to also be vulnerable. I think that's very powerful. And the more we do that, I think the happiest we are. Or yeah.
Yeah, might be that. So let me ask you a question, ladies. So do you think that mental health is still a taboo topic today?
Yes, definitely yes.
Even after this lockdown?
So the lockdown, okay, arguably the lockdown has made it easier to talk about it.
Yes, definitely agree with
It
this.
was starting maybe a little bit, few years as well before that people started raising awareness about it. But you said something about not being a burden
Yes.
earlier, and that
Well,
for sure. That
Let's get back to it.
Yes, that plays a big part. Because we're constantly asking each other, "Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
What's up?" And you just say, "Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. What about you?" And you never really answer.
No, never.
And I think the reason why it's a taboo. We would have to delve deeper into a lot of historical and the way society is built and
Cultural as well. Yeah.
culture and also the valid point that we are very privileged in our countries, and it could be so much worse than it actually is. So there's also this which we need to keep in mind, of course, of okay, do I have food? Do I have a shelter? Do I have clothing? Do I have what I need to survive? Yes. So
Yes.
why is that not enough for me? So it's easy sometimes for other people to not listen because they feel like, oh, what is she complaining about? She has everything she needs.
Yeah.
There's this on the one hand. On the other hand, there's pressure from society of always being fit to perform and fit to achieve and to always pursue new goals and stuff like that.
You can do everything.
Yeah,
You are
and
powerful and everything.
That is draining our energy, I
Yes.
think. And the third point is obviously the people you love and who love you. You don't want to make them sad or make them worrying about you. So you don't always feel comfortable telling your family, for instance. I think most likely the family that, these days you haven't been feeling really good.
Yeah, it's like meh days.
Yeah.
You know,
And when the meh days start
Yeah.
turning into weeks or months or years, that's when
When the problems start.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that it is still a taboo, and in my opinion, I think we are all so busy with our lives normally, with like work, with keeping hobbies, taking care of family, playing sports or whatever, that we don't even have time to think about mental health. Before the pandemic, it was a taboo because no one was talking about it, because no one actually knew what that was, because we were just I was so constantly thinking of uni and work, so I had no idea that I knew the mental health issues were existing, but they weren't relating to me at the time, so I was just ignoring that.
I think
but
we
I think
all did at some point.
Yeah, but I think mental health is a taboo topic because it's often seen as a sign of weakness, because we have to be strong for society, we have to be strong for ourselves, we have to be strong for our friends and for our family, and we constantly have to think that we are enough, and that we are good, and that we can do it, and that we can't have breakdowns, because having breakdowns is
you're not strong enough.
Yeah,
That's what they tell you.
You're
It's a
not
weakness.
a productive member of society anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As we were saying, you shut down again the voices in your head and you don't let them out because you feel guilty again. And of course, I agree with that. We are extremely lucky to be here. We have a job, even though the pandemic is in place and everything. So sometimes I'm like, of course I cannot complain to somebody else who's going through worse time, and that is okay, you know. It's okay that, you know, I have this feeling of guilt because we have something called empathy, and we feel others people pain, and we feel like, oh, thank God, you know, I'm here, and you know, I'm healthy and wealthy and everything, but still it's not, it's definitely not healthy to, you know, shut down your own thoughts. Just let them out, just write them down, you know. A way, as we were saying before, you know, sharing means you just, you know, you take out a lot of pressure from your shoulder, and honestly this is the only way, I mean, in my opinion. So yeah, I do still think that is a taboo topic. We are getting there slowly, but I still think that it's related a lot to culture as well.
Yeah. And I'm reading this book called about vulnerability, and it's amazing how it was saying that that mental health issues often come from shame, a feeling of shame, because you feel ashamed of not being okay, not being good, and that often turns into depression, into anxiety, into eating disorders, into addiction, any type of addiction, and that is really wrong. And if you think about it, feeling shame is actually probably one of the worst feeling ever, because
you're closing yourself.
You're how can I say this? You're thinking of yourself that you're not worth, that you're not enough.
So your confidence, your self-esteem is just gonna drop. You're basically feeding a black hole that it get larger and larger and larger, and you don't realize it, but with the years you find yourself, oh, if I, you know, this is getting way too far, and this where you have to actually contact a professional, I believe, because the more you leave it on the side and you don't think about it, the more it get worse. Get worse and worse, and then it will get you more time, you know, to heal it.
Eats you from the inside.
Exactly.
So after such a long talk on our experience with mental health, we wanted to share with you some self-care tips.
Yes. So in every episode, we would like to share with you a little self-care tip to help you survive. And it could be anything, big or small, that we found to be of help when sometimes life hits you a little bit too hard in the face.
If you want to know why we do this self-care tip segment, listen to our introduction episode.
So, because this week is about mental health specifically, we are actually going to go through our own coping mechanism in more details. So, ladies, how do you personally take care of your mental health?
Okay, so while we were on lockdown, my self-care method was doing lots of yoga. Well, lots of yoga is a big.
It's a commitment.
Maybe let's say once a week.
Nice.
Along with listening to podcasts and having a really long hot bath, and then reading books. But you know, after a couple of months, I realized that was not enough for me. I think everyone has their own ways of coping, and I found myself needing of a bit more help. So I am currently doing therapy every week.
That's great.
Which is helping a lot. So
That's nice to hear.
If you for those of you who are listening, if you feel like you need more help, look for it, because
definitely
it's healthy.
Yeah. What about you, Lou?
Well, I would say before lockdown, I was doing things without realizing that there were coping mechanisms. Like number one would be friends, obviously.
Yes.
And now I realize, but you know, that talking with friends is my number one coping mechanism. I started working out. which to me is
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's
I cannot
unbelievable.
believe it.
Because if you know me, you have to know that in school I hated sport. I was like this type of kid who would just dread going to PE lessons. It was the worst. And now I am so looking forward to doing my little workout sessions and and get all sweaty and red in my studio all by myself, because I can feel the stress leaving my body alongside the sweat. So it's great. Not very glamorous.
I can
with you,
see
but-
I can see the image, just right, red and sweaty and like nice.
Yeah.
coffee.
And then also another really efficient thing I do is just listening to music,
Oh yes.
dancing, and going on walks outside. Yes, and about therapy, it's something I definitely considered getting into as well. When I'm in the right place to do it, because it for sure is very helpful, and I'm glad you found it helpful as well.
Yeah, I am loving my my session every week, and it's actually really good to think of having someone that is in your life, but at the same time it's not. Someone who you can talk to about anything, and someone who you don't have to be afraid of, and who you can talk to without be ashamed or feel guilty. So yeah, no, that is amazing.
What about you, Ahlan?
So yeah, okay. I have several coping mechanisms. I have tried different things, and some of them work sometimes. Some of them are just like well, seems like useless. But maybe it's not, But the past year I have tried meditation. Okay, my meditation involve me mainly being all by myself and listening to. It depends. Sometimes it can be like music with no lyrics, or sometimes it's like sound of nature. So you put your AirPods, you just sit down, you just cross your leg, and I don't know if you know that pose. Is that yoga pose? The one with your
The lotus.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that one. Okay, and exactly something like that. So listen to music, or like just sounds of nature. And it just helps me a lot to calm down when I feel like anxious, or when I feel like panic attack coming.
Yes.
And it just make me feel so, I don't know, so down to earth, I would say. Doing it outside would be great, but given the weather condition in England, it's not always
Not an option.
Exactly, not always an option. But if it's sunny, I would gladly do it if I don't fall asleep, because sometimes I just feel like I'm about to fall asleep. So yeah, that's like my meditation. Or sometimes no music, nothing at all. It's just me and my thoughts, which is kind of scary. The only thought about it, of me being all alone with my thoughts in a lotus position, is just like, well, I have so many voices right now going around, and I have no solution whatsoever. So this is when my friends come in, right? And so you guys, I talk to you about everything happening in my life, even the slightest, small thing that happens to me. I'm like, I need to tell Francesca Lou, like, this is, oh my god. And my best friend in Italy as well. So it's really a nice way, to bond with friends, because sharing your private life with somebody else, it definitely helps. They know everything about you, and you know everything about them.
Yeah.
So it's great. So that's another coping mechanism. The third one is long walks, as you, Lou, said, but not long walks in the city, but in nature.
Oh yeah.
When I need like fresh air, I just go for long walks, and it makes me think a lot. If I feel like I run as well, only if I feel like it, and it helps a lot with stress relief, a lot. And being in nature as well is just make me feel so good. This is why I tried to build a concrete jungle inside my bedroom, which actually didn't work, because half of my plants are dying, but that's okay. How do we say in Italy? Pollice verde.
Green thumb.
Green thumb.
Oh, you
That's
say
it.
thumb.
Yeah, how do you
French
say?
say avoir la main verte, so it's the green hand.
The green hand. We say green thumb. I don't know why it's thumb.
I think here as well.
It's thumb.
It's a green
yeah.
hand.
In English, it's
Yeah,
okay.
I think so. Green thumb.
Well, that's stupid because you need more than your thumb.
Right? It's not like I'm gonna cure a plant with my thumb. Anyways,
So yeah.
Okay.
after this little digression inside plants and a green thumb, being surrounded by nature makes me feel better. So working out, if you know me, you know that I don't like really to work out a lot, but yeah, running, it works for me. Definitely.
Now we're gonna go on a break. We will see you in a few minutes.
How does she know my innermost secrets? Measure of my heart.
Now, let's carry on with our topic. Are you all sitting comfortably?
Yes, we are.
And Francesca,
Yes,
we're
I
not
am.
drinking anything today. What's going on?
But we are eating because
Yes.
my lovely friends brought me cake.
Yes, and I don't think we can do sponsors, but
No, but we
if
can
you-
recommend a good spot.
Exactly. If you are from Kingston, there is this very, very nice and cute Portuguese place called La Mimosa. I think
Just
that's-
Mimosa, I
Mimosa. Okay, and it's just amazing for cakes and coffee. yeah?
Yes.
And everything is handmade,
Yes.
homemade. So they're homemade cakes. So today I had a chocolate cake. If you know me, you know that I love chocolate.
They got me a lemon and pistachio.
Yes.
And Earl Grey.
And
Earl
Earl
Grey
Grey cake.
yeah.
Very
And I
nice.
had the vegan lemon pistachio and raspberry cake with cream in the middle. And they also do, you can also buy food
Yes.
from there.
Like a proper Portuguese
Yes.
Pastries.
I don't think they do dishes, but just
No, just pastries.
pastries or
And desserts.
And
Sweet.
desserts.
And grocery.
And
They
groceries,
have-
that's what
yeah,
I meant. They have some good products.
stuff. Yes. So after this recommendation, if Mimosa you can sponsor us somehow to give us free cakes, we would be more than glad. Now let's talk about the impact of COVID on our mental health. I know we mentioned this already before, but do you feel like it has had an impact on you?
Yes, for sure. So it has had an impact in two ways, I would say. The first thing is my ability to deal with stress has disappeared somehow.
Vanished.
Yeah,
I
vanished.
just don't deal with stress anymore. I just let it be.
Yes. No, it has really brought a scary level of anxiety in my daily life. I think it's also coupled with the fact that, this is my last year at uni, and it would have been a stressful year anyways, but adding lockdown and pandemic and worrying about everything on top of this, it makes it really stressful. And the other thing is, and I guess that relates to the fact that all of a sudden we had time to sit down and reflect on certain things, and it has really changed my outlook on time, the way I perceive time, the way I project myself into the future, because all of a sudden this was taken away from me, I felt. And it has all the things that I thought I would do when I retire in 40 years or so, all of a sudden I realized, whoa, we don't have the luxury of waiting anymore. So that's it for me. Stress and, in a weird way, hope as well.
Yeah, for me, it didn't really give me much hope. To be honest with you, but
I mean, took out from you the way you have hope for the future, or
Yes and no. I didn't have hope for the future before,
Okay.
I think.
but do you have it now?
I had a plan for the future, and
Okay.
this was taken away, and therefore it had forced me to reconsider so many things and to hope for a different future.
Okay, so it's a hope for it. Okay, I thought you meant something else. So go on, Francesca.
yeah, in my case, I think the biggest impact that COVID had on in my life was being anxious very, very often, which never happened before. So that was my red flag, to be honest, because I do get very stressed about things, like when when things are really important to me, even just about work, about uni, about anything, even traveling, it stresses me out. So I guess I do get stressed quite often, but anxious and anxiety never had. So that was really scary, and it was scary because sometimes you, like, if you have an exam or if you have an interview or anything, it's completely normal to be anxious, right?
Yes.
But when you are at home 24 hours a day and all you can do is watching Netflix or reading or listening to things, it's just you just don't get it. Why am I anxious?
Yes.
Where does it come from?
All of a sudden.
Why am I lying down in my bed and still anxious? It's not normal.
I should be happy that I'm in bed. No,
Well, I dreamed of this all my life, to be just sitting down at home. What the hell is happening?
Yeah, that wasn't normal anymore. So, and I could realize that I had those moments where I was about to have a panic attack for no reason, and so then I just got worried, and I tried to find like solutions for it. But yeah, that was the main impact on my life, and of course, like hope for the future was another big impact, because last year after uni, I ended uni, and I had so many ambitions, and I was so motivated.
Yes.
I wanted
We were.
to rock the world, and
I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that.
yeah, exactly. I had so many plans. I wanted to travel. I wanted to discover more about the world, and suddenly being stuck at home for more than 4 months, that really changed my way of looking at the future. And right now I am very much not motivated, and ambitious.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something that I'm still working on, and yeah, hopefully now that I'm going to start working again, and things are gonna open up again. Maybe our lives will be slowly go back to normal.
Yes.
And maybe that motivation that I had will come back, hopefully. What
Definitely.
about you, Alan?
Well, COVID had a great impact on my life, especially on the way I perceive things, especially as Lou was saying, how I perceive time. Time is precious, right? And we all know that. Everybody always keep telling us, your time is precious, your time is precious, and you never actually think about it. Like, what do you mean? Like,
and it goes by so fast.
Exactly. And everybody's telling live the life, live the moment. You're like, yeah, okay, but I gotta do things, but just take it down, take it slowly. When I actually realized that nobody grants us the time, we all plan ahead, and you say, next year I'm gonna go there, next year I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have this job, I'm gonna apply for this, I'm gonna apply for that. You just, the time that you lose doing something that you don't like is never gonna come back to you. And this is crazy. I mean, I don't want to be pessimistic on this topic. I'm trying to be, all hoping and hopeful and everything, but it's hard for me, to have hope again for the future. This past year, like, we entered lockdown. I entered the lockdown that I was 21, and it's still lockdown, and I'm almost 23. They say your 20s are gonna be the best years of your life. You're gonna enjoy them, but all of this was taken from us. This year just passed. Time passed, and I feel like I'm in the same position as last year. Maybe I even
Decreased.
decreased exactly. And as Francesca was saying, in terms of academic ambition, I lost most of it, which is scary because I've always been a person very thoughtful. Exactly, thoughtful about
Very driven.
very driven about my career and academic achievements and everything. And now I feel like all of this has been taken from me, and I'm just like living day by day, which is not bad, but it brings a lot of anxiety with it.
Yeah.
I'm not a person that likes to plan ahead everything, but I like to have a little bit of plan, But now I'm just like, this thing is not gonna end, and it is scary. And now as I'm talking about it, I'm like, okay, I'm getting a little bit anxious right now.
Now, I would just like to say as well something
Yeah.
that we haven't talked about is that obviously we're speaking from our experience of, we're 20 something, we're students or used to be students or whatever, but all the problems that we're talking about now, they didn't just appear out of nowhere.
Yes.
They were there before. Everything we've heard about domestic abuse increasing and people who have money issues,
Yeah.
they had them before already. It's just gotten worse, and it has highlighted all the problems
Exactly.
that were already there before, and that
were-
we just need to sort out. And
Exactly.
we haven't.
Of course.
Climate change, obviously, just the way society is failing
Yes, yes.
citizens.
I just read yesterday an article from New York Times talking about the post-COVID time, and they were saying, well, after the COVID will end, we will have other problem to solve, and one of this was absolutely climate change. And it's now, when you think about it, like, okay, so we're getting from one problem to the other, and it's like
And the other is even worse.
it's even worse because it's affecting our planet. But you're like, let's take it slowly.
But that is the thing. I think that each one of us needs to take it slow, right? So we need to think of ourselves first. So in my case, for example, thinking of all these issues on top of mine while during lockdown, it's been really, really tough. Even now, it's really hard for me to read the news.
It's overwhelming.
It's like last year, I remember we, even at uni, we were just reading news every day. We were just
Every day. It was part of our
you know,
degree, so
yeah, but also not. Like we were arguing about everything that was on the news, and it was interesting, and I used to love it. And now it just makes me even more anxious.
I've stopped. I cannot deal with it.
I remember at the beginning of a pandemic, I was always looking at this graphs,
Oh God.
to see if cases were decreasing or increasing, and it's crazy because now I would never do it. I'm like that's way too much. I cannot deal with this right now. And if you even start thinking about other people's problem, it's add a lot of pressure on you, even if it shouldn't. But again, somehow we all
You have
connected.
empathy
Exactly.
Exactly.
But it feels so draining to now open the newspaper and start reading articles about everything happening, because you want to be involved in all of this. You want to it's just too much. It's overwhelming.
It's like a feeling of being of feeling like powerless. I feel
Yes.
really powerless
Yes,
because
yes,
I cannot do much about the pandemic. Apart from wearing a mask and protecting myself and others by being distant from them. But apart from that, I just cannot do much about it, and I just need to wait for the vaccine to work and for the government to put up rules in place, that kind of solve the issues. But on top of that, I just feel powerless because I can't do much about anything else.
And again, that's affect our mental health, because you feel you are useless.
And it's frustration as
It
well.
is frustrating.
And anger and resentment.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but again, everything is connected to mental health. Everything we are kind of absorb stuff from the outside that we kind of try to filter through our own minds, but then something just gets stuck over there, and you start overthinking it. And
It's a good image. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good way of putting it.
And it's crazy to think this way, but this is our new reality, and I don't think we will ever forget this period. But it has been a way to learn about ourselves as well, which is good on one side, but and it has connected all of us together, all humans together, because this is not something happening to one country or the other. It's happening in the whole world. So, but it's overwhelming.
So if you guys are feeling the same way we are, you can reach out to us
Yeah, feel free to
to
reach out.
share your experience.
Would you like our audience to take from this episode?
Well, don't be ashamed to admit that you're coping with mental health issues. It's important, as we were saying, that you share with somebody. Don't keep it inside. Just share what you feel. And I'm sure that somebody is willing to listen. And if you feel like this is going out of control, just contact a someone who is a professional. And yeah, please do. And please do reach out to us for anything.
Yeah, on my end, I think if you realize that if you don't feel yourself right now, or if you feel like you're a bit down, or if you feel lonely, or a bit sad or anxious, and that doesn't feel normal to you, just make sure that you are aware of that, and when you are, it is just know that it's completely normal, and I would encourage you to reach for help to whoever you feel, but this is something that I'm afraid is not easy to cope by yourselves.
Yes. So yeah, really to sum up, please ask for help. As we said, in any way, shape, or form. Now, it could be calling a friend or a family member, and if that's not possible, there are many emergency lines, such as the Samaritans and others that we will link down below. And last but definitely not least, if, as Ahlam said, it gets out of control and you end up having suicidal thoughts, please do seek help immediately. We mean it.
Yes.
There's no waiting around.
Thank you for listening to our episode. We hope it was helpful. Please do share your thoughts and comments on our Instagram and Twitter page, and give us a follow to keep update on new episodes.
Don't hesitate to ask us any questions you might have about this week's topic. We will always be more than happy to reply. And also, if you have any suggestions on your own self-care tip, do not hesitate to share them. There will always be someone benefiting from it.
Because of the serious nature of this episode, and because we are not healthcare professionals, we have linked helpful resources in the description. Please feel free to have a look at them. Hopefully you might find something interesting there. We have also included emergency numbers which you can call when you feel like you need help immediately. Bye!
I really hate this. Bye. I really don't like it.
Then, thank you and bye.
Thank you so much for listening.
I
Goodbye.
just said that.
Yeah,
Said
but
it in the conclusion.
you did?
Yeah.
But when? When you were talking.
Yeah, we already
You know what? Let's keep this as the end part. That sounds nice.
So guys, we don't have an end line, so just bye. And I guess I'll see you in another episode.
Goodbye.